Let's talk some Miami recruiting. The Canes are red hot on the trail, looking to finish strong this summer. I got Chad Simmons here. We're going to break down some of these top targets that are going to be making decisions here shortly. But before we get into it, guys, do me a favor. Hit subscribe to the On3 Recruits channel. We love talking Miami recruiting, and we do it all off-season long. So go ahead, jump on board and hit subscribe for me, please. All right, let's bring on Director of Recruiting, Chad Simmons. Chad, let's talk Jamie French, because Jamie French is going to make a decision at the end of August, and he decided, hey, before summer ends, I want to take 2 more visits. I'm going to go see LSU and Miami. So we've been calling Miami all summer the dark horse of this recruitment. Is it time for us to put that to the side and call them a front runner in the recruitment of Jamie French?
Yeah, I don't know if I would say front runner, but I think you can take the dark horse label off for sure, Josh. I mean, they're right there in the thick of this race. I mean, I had somebody I was talking to that's close to Jamie earlier today and said, man, Chad, you can't pin 1, even 2 schools to Jamie right now. He could literally go to Miami, LSU, or Texas. None would be a surprise. They think he will take this until August 30th, his mom's birthday, when he'll announce that decision. But I think Miami, without a doubt, has come on strong, getting the official visit, getting him back on campus the last couple of days of this July recruiting period. And unless something happens in the final 24 hours of this month, that they'll get the final visit before he makes that decision. So I think Miami with Mario Cristobal, Kevin Beard, who he loves the staff down there, his teammate, close friend, Hilton Stubbs, committed to Miami earlier this summer. So he's always told me too, man, he would love to stay home if he feels that's the best decision for him. So Miami cannot be called that quote unquote dark horse any longer. They're right there with LSU and Texas in this race.
Yeah. Kind of crazy how they have just consistently stayed in the race. And as we get closer and closer to his decision date, you can tell that the Canes have some traction in that recruitment. All right, one other recruitment that they've remained in on is 5-star defensive lineman Elijah Griffin. He just told you that he cut his list to 3. It's USC, Miami, and Georgia. Where do you feel the Canes stand in this recruitment? And Elijah Griffin has not set a decision date, but Chad, is the feeling that he could do it this summer?
Yeah, I don't think summer, Josh. I mean, I think obviously he's been a kid we talked about many times on your show. And I think the plan from the beginning was to go the distance into December. But now I think he's kind of told me he's a little bit burnt out with the process. I mean, he's been he got his first offer like the second week of his middle school 8th grade season from Georgia in like September of 8th grade. So he's been taking visits really since that point, especially 9th, 10th, and 11th grade. So I think he's starting to think about a fall decision. He mentioned his birthday, October 12th, is a possibility. So I do not think it goes the distance anymore, but at the same time, likely not this summer, but somewhere probably early to mid-season based on what I'm hearing right now. Like you said, 3 schools now remain in the race, Georgia, Miami, and USC. Took visits to all 3 schools in June, took the OVs to Miami and USC. Unofficial visit to Georgia in between those 2. And I still like Georgia's position. He's been there probably around 15 times over the last 2 to 3 years. I mean, the family's been there. The mom, his sister, his grandmother, extended family have been to Georgia numerous times. I think Georgia remains the team to beat, and I think they will be tough to beat. If there is a number 2, though, I think Miami has that spot. Look, USC's had some success getting Georgia kids committed at some time this summer. They've lost some of those guys as well. But I think Miami being closer to home, he's a family guy. His family is close-knit. He wants to be close to family. That's why I like Georgia's position there for the number 1 school. But Miami's done a great job, man. Jason Taylor, Mario Cristobal, that staff remains in contact. He liked his time on campus earlier this summer. I think he'll be back there at some point for a game this season. So I do think Miami's very much in the mix. Can they catch Georgia or chase them down? That remains to be seen.
Yeah, let's circle back to the wide receiver position, because the Canes have a couple big flips on the board. I'm talking Dallas Wilson out of the Tampa Bay area and also Joshua Moore out of South Florida. Now, Moore visited over the weekend, and he had this to say when he left. Quote, "We're still talking and building that relationship. At the end of the day, They know I haven't signed any papers. I'm committed to the Gators, but this season right here is going to tell it all. Now, that's a very honest quote from Joshua Moore, and it should be. Everybody has their eyes on what the Canes and the Gators are going to do this season. It's a pivotal year for both head coaches. So what do you think the Canes have to do to flip either Joshua Moore or Dallas Wilson?
Yeah, I mean, neither will be easy to flip. I think Joshua Moore, if there is one that's easier to have the better chance, it's Joshua Moore over Dallas Wilson with Oregon. We'll start with Moore. He was just at Miami, obviously an in-state kid from down in South Florida. Visited Florida a couple of times in the summer, felt good with that staff, Billy Gonzalez, Billy Napier, the offensive scheme, playing with a guy like Vernell Brown, potentially DJ Lagway at quarterback. All that appeals to him. I think what he wants to see out of Florida and really Miami as well is who can win, who's going to make that biggest step of improvement this fall. He's expected to be there for the season opener at the Swamp. Florida plays Miami. That'll be a big chance for either school to make that opening statement about what their season is going to look like potentially, which comes down to either he stays with Florida or flips to Miami. I think really those are the only two schools to watch in this race. And it comes down to, I think, team performance this fall. If Florida plays well, wins some games, and shows improvement, they have a chance to keep him. If not, if Miami does the same thing, they have a chance to flip him. He likes both staffs. They're both in-state schools. So I think it comes down to who plays better this fall. On Dallas Wilson, Josh, obviously longtime Oregon commit, has had good visits out to Eugene. He loves Junior Adams, loves Dan Lanning, and kind of where that program's at as a national contender. They obviously have DeCorian Moore. Those guys would love to play side by side and benefit from each other. He'll be an extremely tough flip for Miami, but I do think Miami will get him back on campus at some point this fall. Obviously, they're closer to home, much closer to home for him, being out of the Tampa, Florida area. There's confidence at Oregon that they'll keep Dallas in this class, and he says all the right things publicly about his decision, his commitment status, and all that. But there is communication going on with Kevin Beard in Miami. They're still a team to watch, and I do think he'll be back in Coral Gables at some point this fall.
And you know what? These guys are going to get to see these two teams match up in week 1 in the Swamp. So I'm sure all eyes will be on that game and that matchup to see which direction these two teams are headed in. Miami fans, let us know. Comment section below. How do we feel about these two big flips? Elijah Griffin, Jamie French, let us know. Comment section below. Well, you've made it to the end of today's video, but there's hundreds more videos on the On3 Recruits channel for you to check out. And also, while you're here, hit subscribe.